This is really huge news. This is the UN takeover of 90% of America, the rural areas. And this is what it's been set up to do. This is what the United Nations has done in third world countries, in Burma, in Central Africa, in Latin America, in just all over the world. They come in, and it's part of a receivership, and this is going to tie into these articles that I have today. Greece starts putting islands up for sale to save economy. Remember that from 3 years ago in 2010? Greece starts putting island land up for sale to save economy. Of course, it didn't save it, made it worse, and it was giving the land to the very hedge fund managers that had set Greece up. And that ties into this new Economist article out today, the $9 trillion sale. Government should launch a new wave of privatizations, this time centered on property. That's right, federal and state lands to be given to the very central banks that ran the whole scam. This is what they've done in third world countries. They're now going to do it to us. It's already begun in Europe. But to do that, you've got to go back to the 1993 maps that shot down the full adoption of Agenda 21 Rio de Janeiro treaty that George Herbert Walker Bush had tried to get when he left office in 1993. And Dr. Michael Kaufman and others got the UN maps and blew them up to be able to show Congress and C-SPAN. And anybody can simply search Dr. Michael Kaufman biodiversity maps, or you can simply search UN Agenda 21 U.S. maps, and you'll see half of the United States. It's big U.S. map showing half the country in red, where you have the biosphere reserves, and showing how people won't be allowed into those areas. That's why they're kicking people off the BLM. Yes, you found it. That's it, Nico. It's the red map right there in front of you. That's why all of this is going on. And if you click on the larger maps, you can see it. You can see their simulated biosphere reserves from 1993. All the areas in red, no human use. Yellow, highly controlled use. Green, human use. They've got other colors for normal use, military use, Indian reservations. But you can see half the country, roughly, in red, no human activity, no one even allowed into it. This is the rewilding. But they have to do this to get the land off use so they can then turn around and give it to the globalist for mining, timber, whatever they want. But to do that, they've got to pass laws, regulations to shut down family farms, to shut down beef production, to only allow big pharma-controlled, big agro to operate. That's what all these laws and all these regulations are for. That's the program. And we had an article about it back in 2011, Executive Order 13,575, theft of rural and agricultural lands for UN Agenda 21. And it goes through the whole executive order, the trade representatives, all the documents, all their plans, and who runs it under the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Defense. And under that, under State, Defense, and Homeland, then Treasury, Transportation, Health and Human Services, U.S. Trade Representatives, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, that's for spying on them with the satellites and drones, and the U.S. Agency for International Development. Now, under this, they say, and I cover this in my film from 1997, America Destroyed by Design. Go watch that film. It's free online, or you can buy the DVD, InfoWarsStore.com, and support us and have a hard copy. But the point is, they said then that they had to get the land off use for a few decades, and then they would take it as receivership on the national debt, which isn't even really our debt. They've signed us on to the trillions of derivatives that aren't our debt. So there's that article. Here is some of the other articles that tie into this. Center for Rural Affairs, White House Rural Council, role and impact. The reason I'm going over this is there's a big new development that I'm going to cover here in just one moment. Then you can read the executive order at whitehouse.gov itself and see that for yourself, how the Pentagon is going to set up these spy hubs, these threat fusion centers over the rural affairs to spy on everyone, to infiltrate local media, as the Pentagon said they do 4 months ago, to bring in federal funds to buy off the local leadership and to make people think it's a good deal to waive their rights to sign on to the premises ID, the animal ID, all of it. Here's the Blaze from 2011, breaking it down. Does new White House Rural Council equal UN Agenda 21? Absolutely. Now, I have covered that. Here is the new article out of The Hill today. Obama launches climate hubs to help farmers and communities. And, of course, there's a disgusting video of him announcing this as well. The Obama administration will announce the establishment of regional hubs, all that farm money, folks, focused on mitigating climate change on Wednesday. The hubs are the first ever regional centers. This is why they're going to surveil you, the Green Police, for your own good. With the drones, with the satellites, with NASA, the hubs are the first ever regional centers that will focus solely on risk adaptation and climate change solutions at 7 locations across the country, then setting up sub-offices through the 14 other federal agencies headed up by the Department of Defense. Dubbed climate hubs, the new centers will address issues like increasing risk of fires, because they won't let you cut areas to protect with fire breaks, invasive pests, devastating floods, crippling droughts. The officials said the centers will aim to translate science and research into usable information for farmers, ranchers, and forest landowners to adjust their resource management. Oh, doesn't that sound nice? This is literally the civilian force, just as big and just as strong as our military. In fact, it's only 14 seconds. Can you guys pull up Obama calls for domestic security force? We need a civilian force, just as big, just as strong as our military.
We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well-funded.
And again, they've done this in country after country where the people running our nation have put in authoritarian regimes as well. They have gone and shut down the rural population's food production. The facts are in. The studies are legion. Sodium fluoride and other toxic members of the fluoride family are devastating the health and cognitive ability of the American people. So why are the social engineers adding it to the water? Simple. Dumb down the host population that the parasitic technocracy is feeding on. We may not have been able to get fluoride out of the water supply yet, but we can help to get it out of our bodies. I am extremely excited to announce the exclusive InfoWars Life Fluoride Shield formulation, fusing 6 of the best documented ingredients from around the world to help the body remove not just toxic fluoride residues from the body, but a whole host of toxic substances. Let's take a stand against the globalists by blocking their poisons with Fluoride Shield. I use Fluoride Shield every day. Secure your Fluoride Shield and other pioneering formulations at InfoWarsLife.com today. Let's start cleansing our bodies now and support the InfoWar at the same time. That's InfoWarsLife.com.